welcome to Punky's World. This is the last video for July. Tomorrow I'll be doing the August preview, and Friday I will be doing the August updates, and we have like 5 of them. It's feast or famine when it comes to updates. Sometimes I can't find anything, or I might get one. This time I've got 5. So this is the case of Christine Markham. She was 9 years old, and she lived in Scunthorpe, England. On May 21st, 1973. She was headed to school. She walked part of the way with her 2 siblings who caught their bus to their school. She had turned around, though, and wandered in another direction, which her siblings didn't find odd. People have said that they saw her at the train station between 10:30 a.m. and 1:20 p.m. That's a large span of time. The last, I guess, confirmed sighting was around 11 p.m. in the Davie Avenue area. Police searched 5,000 homes within 15 miles of Christine's home address, interviewed thousands of people. Every skip in the area was searched. I don't know what a skip is. Is it a boat? And officers checked the details of the lorry drivers. Lorries are trucks, delivery trucks. All sex offenders were interviewed. In 2006, police got an anonymous letter. The person who wrote the letter claims that a family member of theirs helped to dispose of evidence in the case by burying it in woodland near Metheringham, Lincolnshire. They would probably pronounce it Metheringham, like Birmingham. They don't say the H. Shire, in Metheringham, Lincolnshire. Several years later, police thought about digging in the area. And when they went to the area to look around, there didn't seem to be, I guess, anything disturbed, because they didn't feel they would actually find something. Detective Superintendent Angelina Wilson said, quote, "When people bury a body, they generally dig where it is easy. But where was easy 30 years ago wouldn't be the same today." Because this was in 2006, so it was 30 years. If Christine was buried in those woods, the area now has trees growing that were not there 30 years ago, and ground levels will have changed. Given the time delay and the environmental factors, it would be highly unlikely to find any remains of Christine after all this time. However, that does not mean that we will give up. End quote. They had a pedophile slash child serial killer named Robert Black, who they felt was an excellent suspect for this case, or at least a lot of people did. Wait. Yeah, 50 years. Between 1981 and 1986, Black kidnapped and murdered 4 girls while traveling the country in his van, but it's thought he's responsible for committing many other child murders dating back to 1969. He is believed to have been in Hull on the day Christine disappeared. Hull must be right next door. I'm not familiar with English geography, so. He never cooperated with police, but a witness did say he had, quote, only information, quote, only a guilty man could have known, end quote, about 8 or 9 other cases, including Christine's. But he never cooperated, and he died in 2016. And I know where he's not. Others theorize that she may have been abducted by Joseph Capin, also known as the Saturday Night Strangler. He had been staying in Humberside and worked as a contracted lorry driver in Scunthorpe. Her mother, Marjorie, would leave the porch light on every night. And this is what her family said, and I'm going to quote it directly, in 1998 on the 25th anniversary. We have never given up hope that Christine is still alive because no one has yet discovered her body. She is still foremost in our minds, and we pray that she will join us someday. End quote. They keep her alive by telling stories to her nieces and nephews that she never met about Auntie Christine. Her mom and dad, Marjorie and Sid, have both passed away. The police ask people, and this is only for England, if they have any information, no matter how insignificant they think it is or how small, to contact them on 101. I don't understand it because their 911 is 999, so I'm not sure what that is, but don't try it here because it won't work. And the police spokesperson said, and I quote, "Our officers remain dedicated in trying to piece together what happened to Christine, and this remains an ongoing investigation. Unfortunately, no new information has come to us recently. However, if anybody has any information, no matter how small you think it is, we would ask that you come forward so that we can look into it." She would routinely wander off into town instead of going to school. And it's unusual for children that age to be what we call truant, means not go to school. Was she being bullied by another student, a teacher? And you may think that part's ridiculous. It's not. Trust me. I live by experience on that one. Anyway, was she struggling with her schoolwork? A shy child lacking confidence? Roaming the streets alone is easy prey. Absolutely. It also could have been a local person that befriended her, basically groomed her, sexually assaulted her, and killed her so she wouldn't tell. Okay, this explains a little bit about the area of England and the differences in the way they treat missing persons cases. The ones who vanish in the south of the country in affluent counties are given the public sympathy, indignation, and adoration. They become little lost angels. They are what childhood should be. A little girl truanting school, roaming around the streets of a sullen, depraved town in the East Midlands, just doesn't grab us in the same way. We might murmur how dreadful, but there's always this feeling that if she had gone to school, if she hadn't been roaming the streets, she'd be alive. So we relax, as that wouldn't happen to our children. She is not us. Ay, ay, ay. I added that last part. Um, Robert Black's victims that he was convicted of were Jennifer Cardy, Susan Maxwell, Caroline Hogg, and Sarah Harper. Um, she's in the right age range of his victims, who ranged in age from 5 to 11. That's absolutely horrifying. Joe Capon, as we mentioned. But his victims were in their teens. Um, Another 1973 cold case, a teenager was found murdered near a disused colliery. I'm not sure what that is. So, and it looks like Capon killed her as well. But again, they were teenagers leaving a teenage nightclub after a night out, not a little girl. Her family needs to know what happened to her. Her siblings need to know what happened to her. Oh, come on. I left the recent month in the front of the thing, you know. Now that the month is over, I can organize. So, yeah, there's that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of information in this case. And my friend will be here soon with the posters. that I need to go hang. I just, I think that the child serial killer is a more viable suspect than the other guy, and the Saturday Night Strangler. Because he seemed to have a real MO in what he did. And the reason, and I want to explain the lead that case brought. It just brought a lead in the Saturday Night Stranglers cases because of the potential for a DNA match to the killer of the other two girls. So they were all 16. There's a very big difference between a 16-year-old and a 9-year-old. You're talking before puberty and after puberty. Not even during puberty, after. So it's more like preying on a young adult. And don't hate me for saying that, but it's the truth. Physically. Excuse me, not mentally, but physically. Excuse me. So, that would make him an ephebophile, someone who preys on teenagers, not a pedophile, someone who preys on prepubescent children. Um, I wish I had more. I wish that I bring you an update and say, we found her body and they know who did it, and it doesn't work that way all the time. And that's why I'm here, to bring these cases to light. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you, and I will see you tomorrow, actually. Bye, guys. Hey, guys. At the beginning of this video, this is editing me, by the way, I said, welcome to Funky's World. It should have been, welcome to Kidmissing TV. I am your host, Angelina Wilson. So, I do apologize for that. When you're doing 2 channels, sometimes you forget what channel you're on. Or in my case, 3 channels. So, thank you. Like I said, I realized it as I was editing that I had made that mistake. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Hi, editing me again. I just looked at her face in her picture when I was making the poster, and I gotta say, there's sort of a kind of shy smile, but if you really look at her, you can tell that she's not a happy child, that she's sad. And I just wanted you to take note of that when looking at the poster, at her picture. I recognize that anywhere. I can just read that face. And I'm terrible at that. You know, with autism, I'm terrible at all that. But I just looked at that face and I saw myself at that age, sad, thinking I had no friends, didn't want to go to school, you know, all of that. It really breaks my heart. And I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you guys. Thank you.